In the previous episode, ooh, called the Count again towards the wall. Who is there?
There are no ghosts in the world except the four of us.
Why don't you come and live with me and my wife, the Countess?
So you are saying that we'll need to work? We'll work 5 days a week, from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. And at the weekends we will have a rest. And we want a permanent contract with 14 months of salary every year. One additional monthly salary in June and one additional monthly salary in December. Obviously, a solid health insurance, paid off days during illnesses, and 5 weeks of yearly paid holidays as per the guidelines of the National Union of the Workers of the Show Business. And seniority and salary advancements every 2 years.
But the Count Fineflower ended up accepting all the conditions set by Phantasmona. Chapter 5. How did Mino and his family come to arrive at the Fineflower Castle? Part 5. A new home and a new life for 3 very happy ghosts. Hey, you know what? I think it is very confusing that till now I named chapters and then installments or parts inside the chapters. From now on, I will call every episode an episode. So here we are. This is episode 9. And let's not call it a new home and a new life for 3 very happy ghosts. We need some attractive title here. Here it is. Episode 9. We'll scare the ship out of them. The next day, without further ado, Minos' family moved into the beautiful, large and bright apartment in one of the towers of the Fineflower Castle. The apartment was fully furnished, and furnished with some great taste too. There were all the amenities and household appliances needed for a comfortable life in it. All around the apartment was a round balcony from which one could admire a wonderful 360 degrees view of the surrounding panorama. The balcony was large enough to let them have barbecue parties there, or have lunch or dinner if they wanted to. And Mino, if he wanted, could ride his bike all day long in this balcony as much as he wanted, without ever reaching the end of the balcony. Because the balcony was, like I said, round, which, as a matter of fact, means that it doesn't have an end. Well, yes, this is just one of the many surprising properties of a circle. You can walk in a circle as much as you like, but you will never come to the end of it, nor will you ever meet any corners. In the tower opposite to the tower that Minos' family had moved into, lived the Count and the Countess Fineflower in an apartment exactly like the apartment of Minos' family. The only difference between their apartment and Minos' family's apartment was that in the Count's apartment there were several portraits hanging on almost all of the walls of the apartment. These portraits portrayed the mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, grandfathers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, great-grandfathers, great-great-grandmothers, great-great-grandfathers, and other ancestors of the Count and the Countess going back several centuries. There were some very notable people among them. Admirals, generals, kings and queens, princes and dukes, cardinals and writers. Nevertheless, all these people were shown with either a gloomy or a grim expression. Literally none of the ancestors of the Count and the Countess seemed to be a happy and satisfied person, judging by the portraits. However, unlike all of them, the Countess and the Count are very nice and happy people, and they always have a smile on their face. No one knows exactly the reason for this curious fact, or rather, these two curious facts. Why were the Countess and the Count's ancestors so unhappy in the first place? And how did the Countess and the Count manage to be such happy folks coming from that same family which portrayed centuries of unhappiness? Some argue that the reason must be the fact that the Count and the Countess were the first ones to grow flowers in the big garden of the castle, and to sell flowers to make a living, and to give each other flowers whenever they wanted to show each other that they loved one another, while all their ancestors had used the castle's garden to farm artichokes, and they made a living by selling artichokes. Now, it is true that artichokes are delicious, and that they are very nutritious too, but certainly there is a huge difference between waking up in the morning and seeing a big garden full of colorful and fragrant flowers out of your window, and waking up instead to see a big expanse of nothing but artichokes from your window. Furthermore, by giving each other artichokes instead of flowers, the ancestors of the Countess and the Count often had wounds on their hands, given the fact that artichokes have thorns. This might have contributed to the unhappiness of the ancestors of the Counts, some say. Anyhow, turning back to our story, Mino and his parents loved their apartment really very much. Mino's parents spent several hours checking all the household appliances one by one, given the fact that they had never had any household appliances before. They loved very much the castle and its garden too. After having lived in a narrow stone wall for several centuries, this new accommodation felt like a paradise to them. They couldn't stop smiling out of happiness. So Minos' family finished settling into the new apartment in a few days, and just a few days later, people who lived in the nearby towns had already started to hear about the presence of some ghosts at the Fineflower Castle. Just a week after Minos' family's arrival, the Fineflower Castle was every day packed with people coming to the castle to see the ghosts. Let's take a look at how things are at the Fineflower Castle 1 week after the arrival of Minos' family. It was a beautiful spring day. The castle's garden was full of fragrant flowers, and the sun was shining proudly up in the sky. The bees were flying from one flower to another, and the squirrels were playfully running on the branches of the trees in the woods surrounding the garden. The harmonious chants of the happy birds and the soothing music of the gently flowing creek invited every soul to spend the day outdoors, to play in the creek, or to run in the meadows. And in fact, all the animals were getting out of their lairs, holes, and nests to enjoy this wonderful sunny day outdoors. Here are the lizards, sunbathing on the walls of the castle. Here are the hares, chasing each other playfully in the meadow. There are the squirrels. But while almost all animals wanted to spend the day outside on such a marvelous day, a very big pack of a specific group of animals, belonging to the class of mammals, to the order of primates called human beings, was preferring to stand in long queues outside the castle, to be able to get into the castle and pass the nicest sunny hours of the day in the dark corridors and cellars of a castle. Not only did they want to spend all their day inside in the dark corridors of a castle, but they were paying for it too. Can you believe that? Paying money to be able to spend all day indoors in the darkness of a medieval castle while there was a shining sun out there inviting everyone to play and to rejoice. The fact is that in less than a week, rumors had spread that in this castle, property of the Count and the Countess Fineflower, there were ghosts. And the people were rushing in large numbers from all the surrounding towns to see the ghosts. Long queues of tourists had been forming in front of the main entrance of the castle since the earliest morning hours, and the big square in front of the castle was now full of parked buses that were bringing the tourists to the castle at every hour. The Countess and the Count Fineflower were very happy and satisfied with this big crowd of people that kept on coming to their castle, and they were earning quite a lot of money by selling entrance tickets. While the tourists were rushing from everywhere to the castle to see the ghosts, on the other hand, that is Phantasmona and Phantasmone, Mino's mom and dad, were working really hard and happily. Happy to have moved to a wonderful and comfortable castle after having lived in a countryside stone wall for several centuries. Happy to have finally found a job and a purpose in their lives. They were working hard and with joy and without getting tired at all, like all those lucky people who do their jobs with passion.
If, they were arguing, hordes of tourists are rushing to this castle from everywhere in the earliest hours of the morning, if these people prefer paying the price of an entrance ticket to spend the whole day inside the dark cellars and corridors of a castle just to see us, ghosts, and to be scared, well then, we will do our job in the best possible way. We will scare the ship out of each and every one of them.
After all, the Count's selling point, which he even had printed on the entrance tickets, stated clearly:
Scared or your money back.
So here we are, dear listeners. This is the end of the 9th episode. Next week, I'll continue to tell you about how Minos' family came to arrive at the Fineflower Castle in the 10th episode. After that, we will resume our daily adventures of Mino from where we left at the end of episode 4. By the way, in case any of you wonder what scaring the ship out of someone means, please note that it is a specific idiom in the ghostish slang. If you want to know how and under which circumstances this idiom was born, please leave us a comment in the comments section. If we see that at least 1,000 people would like to know more about the origin of this mysterious idiom, we might explain it to you in one of the future episodes. As always, if you like the stories of Mino, please do not forget to like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet, talk about Mino to your friends. So bye for now, and see you all soon.